I don't need to be chasing and searching. It's like I have enough, and now I'm getting to pick and choose the opportunities that are lighting me up and that are cool.
Absolutely.
I think so many
Absolutely.
people are in a place where they are growing and building and making more, and they keep thinking like the next hurdle or the next milestone is going to be where they take that look in the mirror and say, oh, I have enough. But I think it's nice to be like right now, I kind of feel like I'm in the place where I'm like, I feel like I have enough. And I feel like even just my follower number, like that feels like enough for me. I don't need, of course, it'd be awesome to hit 1 million, but what is that actually going to mean for my business? So my goal is not to just grow new followers. It's to be upping my content and, hopefully new followers will come from that. But I do feel like my brand is enough as far as the audience I've built. So now I can kind of lean into having fun and only doing things that are enjoyable for me.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Flip That Switch. I am your host, Brandon, aka B to the Sis Naive, and we're back with another episode. If you didn't get a chance to go back and watch the previous episode, please go back and watch it. It was a great episode. But today we're going to be diving into a new episode. And the person that I'm interviewing today, I had the chance of meeting at a Google event that we recently spoke on a panel with, me and my wife. And when I met her, she just had this energy and this vibe. And so, of course, we connected, and she's been in the content creation space for a long time now. And she also has her own podcast, which we will link in the description as well. But make sure you go check that out. But just very, very awesome lady and beautiful family, married, kids, doing the whole wife, mother, content creator, just wearing so many hats out here.
Love it. What an intro this is.
Yeah. And so just got, like I said, got the chance to meet her, and awesome encounter with her and experience, and now we're just like social media friends now, encouraging each other, bouncing ideas off each other, getting tips from each other, just doing what we got to do to make sure we stay relevant in this industry. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our new friend Lucie to the show. How are you?
Hi, Brandon. I am great. Thank you so much for having me. And as we just said before we started recording, there's so many people in this world that we meet and we say, let's get you on the show. And then it never happens. And here we are. And you're coming on my show in a couple weeks. So this is a great swap.
I love it. And I can't, and I'm looking forward to that too. So
Same.
definitely looking forward to it. All right. So you ready to dive right in?
I'm ready. Hit me.
Okay. So first question I always ask is, Lucie, how are you? How is your mental? Talk to us a little bit about where you are mentally and how everything is going in your life right now.
What an intro question. I love it. Honestly, I was just talking to my mother-in-law about this. I feel like mentally right now, I could not be in a better spot. And the way I know that is because there's no physical manifestations. There's nothing physically coming up that I'm chasing and trying to solve. And throughout so much of my life, I just feel I've been in a space of having these like random physical things happening that I don't know. And I go chase and I go to doctors and I'm in all these appointments and I'm getting scans and I'm trying to figure it out. And then what do you know, it goes away. And I kind of realized it was all related to anxiety or stress, or there was something going on that was not being addressed. And it's like in the past year, I've just been sort of cruising through life. I mean, obviously I've had sicknesses or colds, flus, whatever, but knock on wood, health has been good. And I've been really able to focus on creativity and business. And as we all know, when like physically your body is not well and you're not in a good, safe, secure space, you can't get to that next level of expanding creatively or entrepreneurially. And I just feel like I must be doing well mentally because physically things are good right now.
Awesome. And I like what you mentioned. Like, you said you're in a good place. Doctors, you're not having too many doctors visits in the moment. I think that's very important for people to understand that, like, when you're doing well, it's not just about where you are financially or where you are from a social standpoint. It's the fact that, you know what, my organs are operating.
Yes.
I can go to the gym and work out. Like I can get up out of my bed, I can walk, I can talk, I can smell, I can hear, so I think those are the things that we take for granted.
Absolutely.
That we have to also understand, like, if that's happening for you, if you're getting up in the morning, you're already doing great, you know?
Yes. And like the random things that I've had in the past, it's like these weird pains around my body or, digestive system isn't in tip top shape. And you just feel that. And then you're trying to go on and do your day and live like normal. And it's really not until you come out of that and you realize, oh, this is what a well functioning body is like,
Mhm.
that you realize how wrong something must have been.
For sure. For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Great point. So, for all the people who don't know who you are, talk a little bit about what you do, who you are in the industry, the presence that you have. Talk to us a little bit about
All right. So I am a 33-year-old female.
that. Well, really?
That's it. That's all you need to know. I really consider myself to be a creator and a video producer
Okay.
and almost like a video editor. I like to I'm a storyteller and my favorite medium is video and pulling stories together and telling long form or short form stories in a way that pulls at people's heartstrings. I really got my start in the video industry in 2015 when I was hired at Refinery 29 to be the face of their YouTube channel and a producer on their YouTube channel. And they, at that time, it was before Snapchat. It was before, right around the time when like the big BuzzFeed talents were building their platforms. And Refinery just gave me this free reign to go produce whatever it was that I wanted to make that I felt would attract a young audience.
Hmm.
So they set me free. I filmed a YouTube series for them called Try Living with Lucie. It was a 5-day challenge format where every single week for literally 5 years, I put out a new video on their YouTube channel, trying a new lifestyle trend or challenge, everything from dietary things like 5 days of being vegan, 5 days of no sugar, to lifestyle things like 5 days of sleeping on the floor. Some of them were longer than 5 days, like 2 weeks of not washing my hair, or 5 days of living on a $50 spending budget. Like some of them started out a little bit kitschy and with this wow factor, but then they really navigated towards things I was super interested in trying on my own. 5 days of facing my fears, uh, diving into cool experimental things that I never would have had the chance to do. And at the same time, I launched another show for them, Lucie for Hire, where I got to try other people's jobs. I always say my dream job is trying other people's jobs and
I love it.
giving people a taste of what it's like in these different careers, especially in this economy and this time when everyone's identity is so wrapped up in what do you do? That's like the first question you ask someone. So I just love exploring what other people, day in the life of a farmer or a tattoo artist or a dog walker, all these cool jobs. And both of those series for Refinery 29 turned into these staple series on their platform that they ultimately started selling episodes to brands. So I got to do Lucie for Hire at Ben and Jerry's, making my own ice cream flavor, at Ocean Spray, harvesting cranberries in the bog. For Try Living with Lucie, I was sent all across the world, 5 days of exploring green tea in Japan and going to Costa Rica to be a coffee roaster. And it was truly a dream setup for me and really gave me the chance to explore video in the format I love, where I'm showing up on camera, bringing my personality and telling stories. But that world really just, without me even knowing and, without even knowing where the industry was going, it kind of just funneled me into the standard influencer route where all of a sudden brands are reaching out to do TikToks or Instagram reels or story sets and partnerships. And for a long time, I really just followed where that path led because that's financially where the industry was going. And as there's a lot of money in brand deals if you have proper management and you're negotiating them well.
Right.
So for a really long time, I was focused on just doing brand deals. And I think what's interesting about brand deals, a lot of people see influencers who got their start one way and then all of a sudden they start doing brand deals. They see that as like, oh, you're a sellout. Now everything's an ad or everything's sponsored.
Hmm.
But I truly love making ads. Like, this is my favorite thing to do, is to take a product that I love. Of course, I say no to a large majority of the stuff popping in my inbox, but the stuff I say yes to, it's like, I could not be more excited to spend my time making this commercial for you. And I know you sort of mentioned a little bit about my past and childhood and going into that. My whole childhood was spent standing in front of the mirror making commercials for things and filming with a VHS tape and recording myself making commercials. And even before Refinery 29, I was working in advertising at Ogilvy and Mather and was making commercials. So I love making commercials and I love working with brands, assuming they're aligned with me and my brand. And really, the way the industry has shifted is I've capitalized on the brand partnership side of things. And just now in 2025, I'm starting to head in a little bit of a different direction where I'm getting a lot more into my personal offerings as a creator. Right now, I do one-on-one coaching and consulting for people who, not necessarily aspiring content creators, but anyone who's like, I know I should be posting on social media for the brand I'm trying to build. Maybe they're an entrepreneur, maybe they do want to be an influencer, whatever it is. We all kind of know in 2025, you have to have a social presence and build your personal brand. So I do one-on-one coaching for that. And I'm working on some courses to teach people YouTube and video content creation. And I'm really just going where the wind is blowing me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. I love that. I love that. I think, well, okay, so a couple things to unpack here. Number one is you said you had been doing this since you were a child, like you were making videos. So as you got older, as you got into the industry, this is something that just became natural to you, right? Like when someone was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Hey, we want you to do a series for us," you're probably like, "Oh, yeah, I do this. I do this in my sleep." Of course. And now I'm going to get the exposure, the opportunities that come along with that, the dollars that come along with that. Yes, sign me up.
So the way it actually evolved was I loved making video content. I loved performing. I was in the drama club in high school and was a performer. But at the same time, actually, my favorite thing to watch on TV was surgery. And I was pretty confident I wanted to be a doctor. So
Okay.
I actually went to Johns Hopkins undergrad. And the moment I got into Johns Hopkins, I was like, obviously, it's because I need to be a doctor. Went to the school, and my whole freshman year, I was pre-med neuroscience major and was like, I guess I'm being a doctor. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to be, but I thought maybe a plastic surgeon or a neurosurgeon. And I started taking the courses to get there.
Okay.
But my freshman year, I think I just always had these two poles. It was like the sciencey doctor side of things and then the entertainment media side of things. And I truly, the person that I thought I wanted to be was Sanjay Gupta, who is a neurosurgeon who's on TV.
Yeah.
And I was like, how can I have that job? And I realized, no school has science media major. So I kind of have to pick. And I picked the science side. But my freshman year, I walked into the admissions office at Johns Hopkins and I pitched them a show that I wanted to produce for their YouTube channel that was basically a travel channel style show about the city of Baltimore. And I was like, I just feel like this school is such an international student population, and these people can't come to see the city before they apply here. So let's get more people in the door through video content, which in 2010 was a very forward way of thinking. And they very, luckily for me, were like, here you go. Here's a student, shooter, and editor. Go do whatever you want. And this can be like an extracurricular activity for you. And so my freshman year, I started this video series, which, spoiler alert, by my senior year, had turned into a paid job on campus. And that was like growing the application pool of the school. And so many people in their applications were saying, I applied because I saw this show and this show made me interested in the city. And now I want to come here and be a student. And so pretty quickly in my college experience, I was like doing the neuroscience for school and then doing the video stuff for extracurricular. And I pretty quickly after my freshman year was like, I have to reroute. I think I want to do this video world as the full time. So I switched my major to be creative writing, which is, not even quite video production, but they don't really have like broadcast journalism team there. And so I switched to creative writing and started all my internships from that point forward, started being media and film and TV and all that.
Nice, nice. Wow, what a journey. And
Yes.
still going strong, huh?
Still going strong. And it was, some of it was me pitching ideas and, showing up to the school or showing up to Refinery 29 with ideas. But also some of it was just wherever I was. Like, I remember my first job at Ogilvy, where I was a producer and, very much not an on-camera role. Wherever I was, you couldn't take the performer out of me. Like, I knew what I wanted to be doing even before I could see what it would turn into. But at Ogilvy, like, the number of times that I raised my hand to be like in a video that was going to be played at a private company meeting, or reached out to someone to be like, can I make this little animation video clip just for fun? Like, I was doing all this stuff just for fun. And notoriously, the way I actually got my job at Refinery 29 was I could not shut up to everyone I met at Ogilvy about wanting to be on video. And so every single person I met, I was sharing all my Hopkins videos and talking about what I wanted to do. And I met this one woman who was like the chief creative officer of Ogilvy and Mather North America. And I like showed her everything I had ever done, played all my video content for her. And she was just like, I'm going to connect you with this person internally so you could work here. But basically just filed me in the back of her mind. Like, I'll keep you in mind if anything comes up. And then a few months later, she became the COO of Refinery 29.
Wow.
And when she got there, she called me and was like, or she actually sent me a Facebook message. I remember I was like walking through the city with my boyfriend, now husband, and I got a Facebook message from this super high up woman telling me she was leaving, going to Refinery, and that she wanted me to come to the Refinery office for a tour. And she wanted to tell me about what they were doing with video there. And basically she took me with her.
Mm.
You
Wow.
never know how it's going to happen, but I guess the lesson is don't shut up.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I always tell people closed mouths don't get fed. And
Yep.
you have to be out here opening your mouth, networking, and I mean, I believe in encounters, right? I don't believe that you just meet people by accident.
Totally.
And so you have to believe in the fact that you got to open your mouth, you got to talk, you got to network. Like, for example, when me and you were at the Google event, I was like, and as soon as I heard that you had a podcast, I'm like, okay, podcasting, I love doing it. I would love to interview her, but I would also love to be on her show, because I look at it as like, this is how you build that camaraderie. This is how you build the connections. Like, this is like, we're both in the same industry. We can like I said, bounce ideas off each other. We can be like, you know what? This just sucks right now. Like, what
Mhm.
advice would you give me, or vice versa? And so you definitely have to open your mouth and believe that, there are people out there that you're supposed to meet,
Totally.
you
And
know.
I also just recorded with Reza as well.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Oh,
Me too.
great. Look at
Actually,
us.
no, I know. Actually, me and him just did an episode. It's gonna be dropping Monday. So
Amazing.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah,
It's great. And you have to thank companies like Google and YouTube for bringing people together, because
together.
I feel like I only know a handful of creators who are very much in my space and in my niche and from my area. And so to go to these events and meet people who are huge, and I never even seen you on my page. Like, what? You have a whole life here. And so I thank you. Thank you to the whole Google team for that.
No, for sure, for sure. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your childhood. What was it like for you? So I know that you mentioned that obviously this is something that you've been doing since you were a child. Talk to me a little bit about what that looked like for you as a child. Were your parents supportive? How did you grow up? Talk to a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I'm a twin,
Okay.
and my twin sister, we're very similar in a lot of ways. Like, socially, we always had the same friends, we always were in the same group, but career wise and interest wise, very different. So she works in finance, she's a trader. she was always more of the math and science person, and I was more of although I did want to be a doctor, I was more interested in the English classes and public speaking. Like I remember when public speech was a class and I was thriving and she was stressed. And so that was sort of our dynamic as twins. When I was young, as I said, I was always making these videos and commercials and I was performing for my family every night. I was that annoying child that was like making everyone sit and watch me do a show. Sometimes it was a magic show, sometimes it was a dance show. And my sister was truly front and center, number one fan, standing, applauding for me and asking me to do it on repeat again. And also, the structure of my family growing up. So my mom was a stay-at-home mom and an artist designer, which I definitely get a lot of my creativity from her and my painting skills and that kind of stuff. And then my dad was a New York radio personality DJ.
Okay.
Since the 1970s through today. He's still on a local station in Westchester, New York. And my whole upbringing, he actually was on the radio in like the 60s to the 80s.
Okay.
And then around the time when I was born, which was in the 90s, he had gone back to a family business, which was a bread baking factory. And he went back to run that. But sometime when I was in middle school, he got a job at a radio station and went back into radio. And so pretty much most of my childhood, I remember it being him being in the music industry. And so he was taking me to performances where he was like emceeing, doing interviews with Coldplay and Katie Tunstall and like amazing artists.
Mm-hmm.
And also bringing me into the radio station to record ads and spots that he would play. I was on the radio at a young age. Also, the nature of radio that must have been like 2006 time or even 2004 to 5 was that it was already recorded digitally, unlike in his past where you're like, at a turntable recording live in the station.
Yeah.
It was already pre-recorded digitally. So my childhood, he would go in the morning when I was at school, he would go record. And then his slot on the air wasn't until 3 p.m. He was on every day from 3 to 7, still is.
Okay.
But he would come pick us up from school every day and we would be listening to him in the radio on the way home while we're in the car with him. And wow. So it was very meta and interesting and cool to see how it all worked. And that was my upbringing, which definitely in hindsight now, being around media and interviews and on air host, like it just makes sense now that I have a podcast and I'm doing a lot of the stuff I'm doing. But also maybe not because my sister was around that too. And that's not her interest. Mm-hmm. But he definitely shaped at least me and my brother and our background. So my brother has had a band since high school with his high school friends. Okay. And they still are in this band together, although they all have other full-time jobs. And my brother's figured out a really cool way to keep music and his like love alive in his work life. So he works right now. He's like a director of partnerships at Spotify, but also has his band and very much involved in it. But I think it's like the best of both worlds for them where it's not like they're relying on it for their livelihood, but they just get together and jam out and they keep writing new music and it's awesome. And, growing up, my family was always a very tight-knit family. My dad has 2 brothers who were way older and had kids who were older. And so we were never really close with cousins in that way. Mm-hmm. And then my mom's an only child. So really it was like we were this insular unit of 5.
Okay.
And I think because my dad worked in media and my mom was this creative artist type, they did not have these specific paths that they needed us to go down. When I told them I wanted to be a doctor, they were very supportive of that. But when I went to them to tell them I was switching out of the neuro major and going into creative writing, I think for some people that would have been like a big tumultuous family moment of like collapsing the dream of your child becoming a doctor. And my parents were like, oh, thank God, like this is not what you should be doing. I think they always saw for me some sort of media career, and none of us knew what that would look like. And even in the beginning, like leaving college, I remember, especially compared to my sister, who was on more of a traditional path with her finance job. Like she graduated college and she had a six-figure salary at a bank.
Mm,
And I graduated college and was making 50K in media. And it was always like, I'm taking the more creative route. I remember at Johns Hopkins, the writing major, it was like a joke with everyone in the writing major that we were going to be living out of a box.
yeah.
And I was sort of like, luckily I come from a very privileged background where my parents were able to support all three of us through college without student loan debt. So I did come from a background where by the time I graduated college, I didn't have loans to pay back. And so I,
Mm,
quote, could afford to have a job that was making 50K. And at that point, I think my rent in New York City was like 1,500 a month. So I was able to make it work. But
mhm.
none of us sort of knew that this was going to turn into an actual lucrative career.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you think in the back of your mind like this could be something? Because a lot of people when they get into it, it just it's a hobby to them at first, right? It's like, let me just kind of get my feet wet with this. Let me just do this to have fun. And then all of a sudden you look up years later and you're like, wow, this is my lifestyle. This is my career. This is so did you ever have those moments of like, you know what? Even though I'm doing this right now, I'm having fun, I'm doing what I like to do, like I could see this turning into something. Like, did you have those moments early on?
Yes, I think for better or for worse, I have always had kind of a blind confidence about something good is going to happen. And I
I
think
love it.
I kind of feel that way about most of my life, which is a good trait to have for the most part,
Mhm,
because throughout the course of my career, I've had moments where something didn't go my way or I lost an opportunity or doors were closed in my face. And
mhm,
that's one thing about me that I admire about myself is that the moment something like that happens, I need maybe 30 seconds to a minute to be upset about it. And then very quickly, my brain rewrites the story of why that was not meant to happen and why my life is going to be better because that didn't happen, and just tells me it's almost like I guess the reticular activating system in my brain is looking for signs that I'm doing something right and looking for signs that I'm on the right path, that no matter what comes in my path, it's like nothing can put a stop to it, because it's like every hurdle I just see as there was a purpose for this and I wasn't supposed to go there. And so something better is coming on the other side. And whether or not it's true, that's the way I feel every day. So that
mhm.
keeps me aware and looking for what that other thing is.
Wow.
And so I don't know, I feel I've always had this blind knowledge that like I'm going to do something and be something, and not, I still don't know what that is. And
Yeah.
I think, by some accounts, they're like, well, you're already it. Like you have
Mhm.
500,000 followers on YouTube and 300, whatever, you have your followers and like you're making money. And so you've already done it. But even to this moment, I'm like, I just see the future as this big mystery question mark box where I still know something bigger and better is happening, and I
Mhm.
don't know what it is, but I'm just so confident that it's something. And it's almost like every day I wake up and I'm like checking my email, being like, what is it? Like it's like a mystery prize to unwrap.
You know what's funny? Me and Destiny recently just had this conversation because we were having a conversation. We were talking on our YouTube channel, and we were talking about how. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We were doing another podcast interview. We were talking about how like we don't really take the time to celebrate our wins because we're always looking for the next thing, the
Mhm.
next biggest thing. And we don't really take the time to just sit back and be like, we have 1.1 million on YouTube. You have over half a million on IG. We have 4 million on TikTok. Um, and we don't take a while to really just take inventory on what we've built and how far we've come along.
Yep.
So I guess my question to you is, do you really just kind of like sit back sometimes? Because I know you said you're the future's a mystery. You're always looking for the next best thing, but do you actually take the time to really just sit back, look in the mirror, and be like, you know what? Look at what I've built. I have this amazing following. I've done so much. I've accomplished so much at the age of 33.
Hmm.
Do you take inventory and be like, you know what? Let me just sit back and celebrate what I've done.
I think this year was really the first year that started happening for me, because it's prior to this year, I was very much in this rat race feeling of,
Yeah.
you always have to do more and always build more and always having these markers and goals. And actually, this past year, which was when was it? September 2024 was when my daughter was born. And she's my second and last. And so we're done having kids. And when she was born, I took my second maternity leave, which this time, the first time I really was like, I'm not working for a few months. And my son was born in November. So I like missed all these holiday deals. And I had one of my like lowest dips financially from that. With my daughter, I had finally figured out, because I'm a business, I had bought a paid family leave policy for my business. And
Okay.
so I was able to get some governmental pay for my time off. And I really leaned on that in a way where I was like, I want to see what happens if I just lean into not forcing myself to not make content, but just only creating from a space of pure creativity and inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And in those few months, I remember, like, right now, if you look at my Instagram, I have 300 something thousand followers,
Mm-hmm.
and 100,000 of those 300,000 have come from the past year.
Wow.
And so and that's just in this year of me having a moment of being like, I just really want to let myself lean into what's feeling good, not necessarily what's making the most money. And this year, 2025, for me has been the first year in a long time that I've paid so much to get different support people on my team in all different areas. So I've been building my team, which has led to me having financially the lowest year I've had in like 6 years. It's still been a good year, but it's the lowest. When I look at my tracker, it's easy for
Mm-hmm.
me to be like, I'm receding or I'm going back. And I've seen this year as such a purposeful, intentional investment year where I'm growing to set up these systems so that my brand can be bigger in 2026 and beyond.
Absolutely.
But to your point of like, what's the point of all this? Like, I've already done well, it's already gone well. Like, why am I still doing this? I think the place I'm in now is I'm starting to get to a place which feels so good, where I feel so set with my brand and my business that I don't need, maybe years past, if a brand deal came in that I wasn't sure felt right, but I was like, well, I'm trying to grow my brand. I should do everything, say yes to everything. I was in that place. And now I'm in a place where I'm like, I don't need to do anything. Like, I can say no to everything. And even with just the backbone of my business that I've been able to build, brand deals aside, I could be earning enough to be comfortable and happy with just me selling my coaching and working one on one with people, or affiliate links from brands, or like consulting with brands, and not even doing a single brand deal. So,
Mm-hmm.
by those standards, if I'm saying yes to a brand deal, it better be something that I'm just so excited to work on. And
Mm-hmm.
that's putting me in a place where I'm really getting to say, hey, I have, quote, enough of what I'm looking for. And so I don't need to be chasing and searching. It's like I have enough. And now I'm getting to pick and choose the opportunities that are lighting me up and that are cool.
Absolutely.
I think so many
Absolutely.
people are in a place where they are growing and building and making more. And they keep thinking like the next hurdle or the next milestone is going to be where they take that look in the mirror and say, oh, I have enough. But I think it's nice to be like, right now, I kind of feel like I'm in the place where I'm like, I feel like I have enough. And I feel like even just my follower number, like that feels like enough for me. Of course, it'd be awesome to hit 1 million, but what is that actually going to mean for my business?
Mm-hmm.
And so my goal is not to just grow new followers. It's to be upping my content, and, hopefully new followers will come from that. But I do feel like my brand is enough as far as the audience I've built. So now I can kind of lean into having fun and only doing things that are enjoyable for me.
I love it. I love it.
And you, like, you could probably tell me, because I still have not hit 1 million on any platform. Obviously when you add them together, it goes to a million. But
Mhm.
I am one of those creators who could, put on my vision board every year that I want to get to 1 million followers on this platform this year. And you, having hit that, you could tell me firsthand that the hustle never ends, even once you hit
It doesn't.
it. There
It
you
doesn't.
go.
But I will tell you. So there's two aspects that I'll explain about this. Number one is when we set out to do our YouTube channel, one of our goals was to get the gold plaque,
Hmm.
which obviously the gold plaque is what you get when you hit 1 million. Um, so the first plaque, for those of you who don't know about how milestones are with YouTube, but basically when you hit 100,000 subscribers, you get a silver plaque, and then when you hit 1 million, you get a gold plaque, and then it just goes different tiers from there. But when we set out, our goal was, let's go on ahead and get 1 million YouTube subscribers because we wanted the gold plaque. And what ended up happening was we hit the million, and YouTube at first didn't want to give us the gold plaque. They went back and found some type of this video was old, but it was a video where she had basically pranked me, and she had put you remember the pop rocks that you used to throw on the ground, and it would, like, the little firecrackers? So
Yeah.
she had put those on the toilet seat. And when I sat down on the toilet seat, it started popping.
Oh God, they were like, "This is dangerous. We can't give you your
Yeah.
plaque."
And I'm like, but we did this video like 2 years ago. So it was a content strike. So basically, it took about 6 months to get that removed. And
Mm.
finally, after that, another 90 days, and they finally sent us the gold plaque. And when we got the gold plaque, we were like, it wasn't even significant to us
Mhm.
anymore. So I say that to say, you have these goals that you set out, and then you hit the goals, and then you start thinking about, for us, because we've been doing this 5 years now, we start thinking about, okay, that's cool, but now it's not even really about getting to 2 million or 3 million or 4 million. What we want to do is we want to impact the people that we currently have. And like you said, if it grows, cool, but if it doesn't, we still have that community that's following us, because we've been on different journeys on YouTube. Like, we started out as a travel channel. Then we started out in COVID. So when COVID hit, we weren't traveling anymore. So then we started pivoting to do pranks and comedy stuff. And then we did that for a couple years. But we realized that that's not going to be sustainable from a brand deal standpoint. So then we pivoted to basically back to, like, lifestyle content. We had our child, and now we're starting to travel a little bit more. So we're getting back into that. But throughout our journey, all we've asked is that, the people that are truly with us and for us, that they just come along with us, and we're okay with that. We don't have
Mhm.
I no longer care about going viral. I no longer care about getting to 10 million. If we get to 10 million subscribers, cool. I'm thankful for it. I'm grateful for it. But like you said, I'm okay where we are.
Yep. And
And
going viral is, at least in the past year, I've had a lot of content go viral. And yes, maybe it has grown my audience, but there's only one piece of content of mine that has gone viral that I've been like, I hope people follow me for this.
yeah.
And it was my most viral video, which was a video of my son and daughter meeting for the first time. And it was like such a special family moment, and edited to the song Chasing Cars, and like makes everyone cry that watches it. And I'm like, I would love for people to join me for this, because I know I'm going to be sharing a lot more loving, tender family moments. And these are the right people to come find me from this.
Hmm.
Other content that has gone viral, which, by the way, as I've posted it, I've known this is going to go viral because of the specific way I'm writing this text on screen and the exact thing I'm saying. I know what's about to happen here.
Mhm.
And what do you know? Viral, but like for all the bad reasons. Like all the controversy, it just turns into a horrible mean fest of people in the comments just yelling at each other. And like at that
Mhm.
point of virality, you as the creator and whatever you've just shared is actually past the point of the conversation. No one's even commenting on your
Yeah.
video anymore.
Yeah.
They're trying to prove their point about a fact of life,
Mhm.
and it's irrelevant who you are. And
Yep.
not only do those videos bring fewer followers, but when they do bring a follower, it's like, what are you expecting me to just post controversial life quotes? Like, that's not even who I necessarily want. So
Right.
that stuff goes viral, and it's like you can capitalize on a moment, but what for? And I think so many people are posting content for decades and have never gone viral and think once they get there, once they go viral, it's going to be this life changing moment. And of course, there's a dopamine hit and a high temporarily from it.
Mhm.
But I think you and I both know it doesn't lead to sustainable audience, community connection, and growth. It doesn't lead
Yep.
directly to brand deals and money. And
Mhm.
even my video that I have 85 or 90 million views on Instagram has brought $0 of monetization on Instagram. So
Yeah.
what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I told Destiny a long time ago. I'm like, at this particular point, I don't want to go viral for the wrong reasons because, like you said, they start talking, and it's not even about you as a creator anymore. It's about them fighting. Which, I mean, sometimes it's hilarious, but then sometimes I look at it, and I'm like, man, like they just went way off in left field. Like,
Yes.
what
And
is
some
going
of the
on here?
comments are like terrifying. Like I have this one
Yeah.
video that's a commentary on when you search on Google men's safety gear
Hmm.
versus women's safety gear.
Hmm.
And when you search men's safety gear, it's like hard hats and steel toed boots and reflective vests and whatever. And women's safety gear is like a drink cover and a stun gun and a like window breaker and things that are like safety to get them away from men.
Hmm.
And the comments under that, it's appalling because it's obviously I'm out of it. I'm doing a silly little dance while I show these items. So some people are like, wow, this is a great commentary on society. But so many of the comments it's just turned into this like misogynistic, scary fest of men who are commenting who I don't know if they're like incel men or I don't know, but it's like all these men who have started commenting being like, well, we wouldn't have to attack you if you weren't so mean to us. Like, get a gun and defend, like stuff that's like, oh my God, you could maybe go to jail for writing this. And now it's living under my post. And why do I want this world of people even coming across me and my family and my like me? Why do I even want that? And it's like sometimes you're tempted to just delete a viral video and that gives you more peace of mind than letting it live.
Yeah. Yeah. Or block the person.
Yeah, I do a lot of blocking these days.
Blocking is a good way to cope.
Yes, for sure. Blocking and muting.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. Okay, so you mentioned that obviously you have all these different things going on, and by the way, your accomplishments are admirable. Like
Thank you.
you've just really, I feel like you've done well for yourself, and like you said, you're in a good spot right now, which is good. That in itself is a blessing because not a lot of creators they're not at the point where they can say, you know what, I am comfortable, I am in a great spot. A lot of people are still trying to figure this thing out. They're still trying to get their feet off the ground. And here it is, you're at a point where you've put the foot to the pavement, you grinded, and now you're at a point to where you can sit back and be like, you know what, I built a lot, I'm doing great right now. So my question to you is, to someone, let's say that you are sitting across the table from 20-year-old Lucy, right? And she is just in a space where she's trying to figure this thing out. The industry is just really taking a toll on her. She's not where she wants to be. what type of advice would you give her? What would you tell her to encourage her and to motivate her and to tell her to keep going? Like, what's a piece of advice would you say to her?
Yeah, I think to your point, I have heard of more creators in 2025 going back to 9 to 5 jobs than I have in any other year.
Mm,
And I think
wow.
you're right. Like it's a lot of people are gave it a try and then we're like, this isn't working. And even just this year, I think has been a change with the rise of AI and
Hmm.
with TikTok and different shifts and things happening in the industry. I think like brand partnerships have dropped and diminished. And so people are figuring out other monetization streams.
Hmm.
I think my advice to people has always been I don't think you want to enter into the creative, content creative space with any sort of pressure of this, my livelihood is leaning on this and I have to make this work or else I have to go back to a job. And it's easier said than done, but my advice to people is always to keep the stable, steady 9 to 5 job while you're doing this on the side. And I think most successful creators did it that way. I mean, unless they just were took a sabbatical and their parents funded them for a year and then they went viral. Like I think most people started doing this on nights and weekends and building this up on the side as a passion.
Hmm.
And then there just became a tipping point where it didn't make sense to be spending all their hours at work because if they spent all those hours doing deals, they could be making more for themselves and their family. And
Yep.
Reza is a perfect example of this. He was at Google and this happened. And I know so many creators who went from a corporate job. Even I was at Refinery 29 with a salary doing videos for their channel. And there just became a point where the salary I was being paid did not equate to what I could be paid if I was just working on my own channel the whole time.
Yep.
And I think you don't want this to become this stressful, like I have a 6 month window to see if it's going to work because this is a long game
Hmm.
and it can take decades to build a dedicated following. And especially if you do it the way that I suggest people do it, which is to take decades and have it be slow and steady and let people follow you through all your phases of life, not just have a couple viral videos that blow you up overnight. And then people are like, oh, that was that one video I saw from that one person. If you do it that way, it probably will need to be done on the side of something else. And ideally, you can find that 9 to 5 that doesn't kill your soul, that you can, at least be doing something adjacent to what you love, or maybe you're working in media or having a job that's giving you introductions to people that can help your side gig or help you with your goals,
Hmm.
but not jumping in too far too fast to the point where you just regret it and have to revert and go back to a 9 to 5 because it's not working. And then, like, I feel like once you get a taste of this world and this freedom, I'm never going back to a corporate job from
Me
here.
neither.
And I know some people are like, I got a taste of that world and that freedom, and it was more stressful than having a stable salary and a
Yep.
health benefits, whatever. Everyone's different. So if that's how you feel, then it's probably in your best interest to go back. But now that
Absolutely.
I've seen this and I see what it is, like I shall never set foot as an employee, full-time salaried employee in an office again. And I'm never going back. So it took a really long time to get myself to this stage. But now that I'm here, my advice to people is like, take it slow. And if you really want this to be sustainable and long term, don't dive into the deep end and just hope you make it quickly.
I love it. See, I love that perspective because a lot of people would be like, "Hey, you have the whole step out on take a leap of faith, do this and do that." But you're absolutely right. There's a couple things that you said there. Number one, you said that this is not a race, it's a marathon. It does take years. We've been at it for 5 years and we still don't think we've arrived.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not the fact that we are not appreciative and thankful, but at the same time, we were doing this podcast and I was saying, like, when you get to a certain place, you still have to continue to evolve, and you got to go with the times, and you got to stay on top, and you got to continue to earn and get the rewards and opportunities and the money and stuff. So it's not that you've never arrived, but you always got to figure out, how do you stay relevant? How do you continue to differentiate yourself? And that's not something that happens overnight. It
Hmm.
is a marathon. Like you said, this thing could take decades. And so I'm glad that you said that, because what I really want people to understand is, if this is something that you want, you have to be able to understand that this is something that could take years. Very few people get lucky and just blow up overnight, and everything just changes for their life overnight. No, you have to put in the work, the blood, sweat, and the tears. You got to get in, you got to build connections, you got to build, I mean, you got to have these encounters. You got to, put yourself in a position where, yes, you can get to the goal quicker, but even that quicker still means that it could take years,
I
you
also
know?
think, when I reflect on my growth, specifically at Refinery 29, what a blessing that as I was trying to build as a creator, it was a salaried job.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, granted, I didn't even know what I was trying to build as myself. Like at that point, there were no Instagram deals or influencer anything happening, but I just saw it as a job. But truly, like I was covered from a salary and benefits standpoint
Yeah.
while I was showing up and making weekly YouTube videos. I can't say with certainty that if I was doing that on my own channel and didn't have the like power of Refinery 29 and their brand behind me and didn't have that steady income from being paid no matter what, no matter the performance of the videos, I don't know that I would have put out a video every week for 5 years because
Mm.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
have been able to sustain it from an income standpoint, and also just like mental health. I wouldn't have been able to keep showing up if the audience wasn't like showing me right away that they were interested, which they weren't at Refinery, but it didn't matter because I was being paid no matter what.
Right.
And so, it took a while. When I started at Refinery, there were 100,000 subscribers on their channel. When I left, there were 3 million subscribers.
Hmm.
And the beginning, I was putting out content that took a while to stick on with people. Like the first couple of videos I put out, it wasn't like immediately people were obsessed with the show. It was actually, there must have been like at the end of season 1, I don't know how many episodes it was, but I took a moment where I was like, I need to pause the series for like a month because it was getting to a point where I was filming something that needed to go up the next week. And I was like, I need to take a month where I can just like batch a bunch of episodes and get them out. And so I paused, took a month off, told the audience nothing's coming out for the month. And when it came back in season 2, it was like, boom, all these people were like, finally a new episode is out. And then they were there commenting on every video. The first 2 minutes it went up, everyone wanted to be the first comment. And it was like a race to be there. And it took a while doing that. And even after that point, it took years of continuing the series and carrying it forward and getting people hooked
Yeah.
before it really was like life changing for my career. And I don't know that I would have been doing that on my own YouTube channel if I had gotten slow and steady feedback and wasn't getting paid every week to do it.
You mentioned earlier that you said, get you a job that's flexible, right? That will allow you to not be too overworked to where you don't have the energy and the focus to kind of do the side hustle stuff until it gets to a point where it's not no longer a side hustle. That was actually the blessing that I got with my job, because my job was pretty flexible to the point where I could film, or I didn't use a lot of energy. So after I got off, I could film. Like you said, we would batch film on weekends.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to use the weekend to get your content out. And that way, all you have to do at that point is edit and stagger it out during the week. But it is so important and key that if this is something that is a passion for you, that you truly want to do and explore, that you put yourself in a position where maybe you get a job where you can just get by,
Right.
but you're trading that for the flexibility to be able to allow you to do the other stuff. And so that way, as you're building up, as you're getting this thing going, you will get to that point. But I thought that that was so key what you said, because that was exactly me. Like in 2023, I think me and Destiny took like, I know for sure we probably took at least like 8 or 9 trips.
Wow.
Half of them were content free trips, and then half of them were other trips. But I look back at it and I'm so thankful because there's no absolute way that had I been working at another company, I would have been able, like, you don't even have, nobody even has PTO like that. And
No.
my company was like, they knew what I did. They knew what I was aspiring to do. And so it wasn't an issue.
Yep.
But you're absolutely correct. Like, you have got to put yourself in a position where the job that you're doing is flexible. You're not using a lot of energy. So you can get off, you can film on weekends, and you're not overly stressed, because you can attest to this. If your mind is not in the right place and your energy is not in the right place, your content is not going to be good.
Also, I mean, we're not even touching on stage of life that a person's in,
Yeah.
because right now, having a child,
Yeah.
and I have 2 kids, and there's no way I could have done some of the stuff that I did when I was in my 20s working at Refinery 29 and coming home every day and making my own video for a brand and staying up late, or there's no time to be able to balance that now with kids. So now it's very
Mhm.
much like I'm working during work hours, and at least my older son is in preschool for half the day, and we have full-time childcare, and then also have 4 grandparents within the vicinity who are around. So we
Nice.
have like a big village here, and
Yeah.
that doesn't even include that. Like, having the village to help and the means to be able to afford that, if it's like paid support or not, or paying to put them in a daycare or a childcare situation, and then having the freedom and flexibility during the day to do this during the day, so that in the times when the village is not around, you can and are able to be a parent too. And it's like, there's
Absolutely.
no, I'm not, it's not to say that if someone is a parent right now and is like, well, I didn't do that in my 20s, but now I want to be a creator, or now I want to grow, but when am I supposed to do it? It's like, you really do need to figure out your unique life situation and what support you can have, so that you can, quote, balance, even though that's hard, the time that you need to and want to be with your family, with doing this for yourself, but also making sure your family is financially stable in the background while you're aspiring for this goal. And it's so hard to, you can't just give a blanket statement of how to do it. It's like everyone needs to look at their family. And for some people, paying for child support is going to cost more than they can even make from working. So, what is the point of
True.
working? In that case, it makes sense for them to not work and take care of the kids. But then what if they have creative aspirations? And so there's a balance of everything. Sometimes it makes sense to lose a little money as a family so that you could be working towards something that hopefully could be bigger in the future, but it all depends on your family's finances and if you can afford to do that and for how long. And so there's no one size fits all approach for it,
Yeah.
but it takes a lot of thought and planning with your partner and your family structure and your village to figure out if you could do that.
Sometimes you got to take a step back to go forward. And I've
Mm-hmm.
learned, we've learned that you got to take a step back. I mean, again, just a sacrifice of really just going hard, right? Like, sometimes you sacrifice time with family, friends, but you understand that, look, it's not going to be like this forever, but we have to get to a point where we are in a position where now we can spend time and not have to worry about how that's going to affect us negatively.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to sacrifice those things, and I tell people, like, hey, look, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, especially if you want to have the life that you want, you feel like you can be able to enjoy and be comfortable with. Sometimes those things have to happen. You have to take a look at childcare situation. Our daughter, for the first year we were doing content, she was here with us, and then we were like, man, this is just not sustainable. She has to go to so now she's in school,
Yeah.
because we still got to do what we got to do for our business and things of that nature. So that's a good point. Well, I'm gonna get you out of here on this question. what does the next 3 to 5 years look like for Lucie and her brand? Talk to me a little bit about what you want to accomplish and what you want to do. And when I'm talking to you 5 years from now, because we're cool now, we're friends now, we're
Yes,
all
we'll be
friends
talking
now.
in a few
Yeah,
years for sure.
yeah, we'll be talking in a few years. So if I'm talking to Lucie in 5 years, what are some of the things that Lucie is telling me that she's accomplished?
Yes. Oh, love this question. Well, to the point of what I said before, I also hope that there's an element of, I have no idea. And that's one of my favorite things about this job is that sometimes when I open, a lot of people get the dopamine hit from opening social media and seeing their likes. I
Yeah,
get that from opening my email and seeing what opportunity is in here today because
love it.
it's there's always so many cool potential things that are interesting, cool ways to work with brands and to monetize, but also by doing something that fills me up creatively. So there's an element to this question that's like, I don't know and I don't want to know and don't tell me. But if I'm mapping it out for myself, I think a lot of what I've been working towards in 2025 has been towards kind of going back to a place of that high quality storytelling video content that I was doing at Refinery 29, but for my own channel.
Hmm.
I think when I left Refinery, because I fell into working with an agent and getting brand deals, I turned into an influencer and my content turned into vlogs. And obviously, I captured a new audience from that, but that's never really been my interest as a creator or the best use of my skills as a producer and a storyteller. And so I really want to get back to higher quality, long form storytelling video content, a la what I was doing at Refinery 29, but new versions of it. And so part of what I've been working towards this year is having loads of conversations with streaming services and networks and production companies and brands to figure out the right way to do that content. Like, I don't know where it should live. I think in my perfect world, because I was a child of the 90s who grew up watching TV, I'm like, I want it to be on a TV show
Hmm.
or like a Netflix show in 2025.
Hmm.
But every time I have conversations with streaming services, the feedback I'm getting is we're trying to get on YouTube. So why do you want to come here?
Mm.
And so now I may be just leaning into YouTube. I think 2026 will be a big year for me of working with brands, making really cool content that I'm in, but very much a creative director and producer of, and just working on bigger projects. I also am hoping my brand partnerships navigate a little bit away from a standard influencer model of being paid to do a story set with links or a TikTok or whatever. And I want to be doing more creative integrations with brands. So I have a cool partnership coming out in 2026 where I'm actually designing a line for a brand with
Nice.
my watercolor illustrations that I made by hand and creative things like that. And then I think I really want to see where this educational arm of my business goes, both with my one on one coaching, which I'll quickly plug if anyone wants to go to luciefink.com/apply-coaching. And my name is Lucie, Lucy. Then that's the form to work with me one on one. So I want to take on like a dedicated number of clients every month in that container. And I also really want to launch a course. I'm going to just manifest it and say it here. I haven't built it yet, but I want to launch a recurring course that is teaching people everything I've learned about how to build and execute a successful dream YouTube show.
Okay.
And so I want to do that. And I don't know, I think that takes me into other realms of like working with brands in a consulting capacity and helping them make better content and work with creators in better ways. And I hope it leads to more speaking engagements like what happened at Google and more in-house talks and motivational speeches. And I don't exactly know, but I just am so excited to see how it all unfolds, knowing that I have some little tidbits of ideas and then I just have to see what the world is willing to receive.
Absolutely. Wow. That is awesome. I mean,
What
that's a
about
lot.
you guys? Where are you guys headed?
So I think so. There's a couple different directions that I think that we're headed. So number one, I do want to take this podcast to the next level. Like you said, I do want to elevate it, and I do want to do speaking engagements. I want to take the podcast on the road. I want to be live sometimes. I really feel like this is what I've been called to do. And
Hmm.
so for me, it's like just really going to the next level with it. That is my goal. But then also really just continuing to build on the Destiny and Brandon brand, right? So for example, Destiny's been talking about how she wants to launch like a eyewear for kids,
Mm,
eyeglasses, because our
so
daughter
cool.
has
Yeah,
astigmatism, she wears glasses. So and then
that's such a good idea for you guys.
yeah, more long term. Also, we're talking about more long term collaborations. How do we get into a space like you where we're not just doing a deal for a brand, but we're really like impacting that brand, right? We're working with them from a consultative standpoint. We're really getting our feet into um into the brand to where we can really do this from a partnership standpoint and it not be transactional,
Hmm.
right? Um and in Destiny, she wants to kind of we're building this house, right? So she's going to be decorating an interior design. Maybe that could lead to or something. So there's a lot of different angles that we're taking, but it's also still under the Destiny and Brandon umbrella. We're just going to be branching out and doing things under that umbrella.
I love
um
it.
so yeah, but
Honestly,
we're
the world is your oyster, and
yeah,
it's just so cool to have the opportunity to keep doing whatever feels right that day or that month,
yeah,
and trusting that next month it's going to be something new, and it's all about the journey. I think if you keep reminding yourself, not just you, but everyone,
for sure.
it's not there really is no destination. Even the people who are at the tippy top will tell you they're still on a journey. So
Absolutely.
there's nowhere that you should be feeling like, obviously you're always working towards better or bigger or more, but if the goal of that is not to enjoy the journey and the road to get there, and if you're not enjoying all the steps that you're taking to get there, like all those steps and that journey, that's what makes up your life. It's not
Yeah,
where you end up, it's all the time you spend doing everything. And so of course it's good to have goals, and it's good to make more money and build more wealth for your family and feel more secure and be able to give back more to people and impact people, but the journey should be what you're enjoying every step of. It's not like
absolutely.
we shouldn't be in a place where we're like, I'm just going to work until I'm 65 in this miserable job, and then I'll retire and be so happy and travel the world. Like, what is the point of that life? That sounds terrible. And I think if people apply a different lens of, my goal of every day should be health and wealth and happiness and joy. And I always say to people, money can't bring you happiness, but I think happiness can bring you money.
Mm,
Mm,
wow, that's
yes.
a mic drop. It's a mic drop moment. Wow. Well, this was good. This was really good. Thank you for coming on and just giving us your journey, your perspective, and just I hope that people are helped by this, because a lot of people, again, they're struggling right now, right? They're trying to figure this thing out. They want even if it's not in this industry, it just in any facet of life, they're trying to figure things out. So even us talking about the industry that we're in, it that really just goes to anything you do in life. It's not an overnight thing, and I think you've summarized it perfectly. It's not an overnight thing. You can do it. You can get in any space that you want to get in. You just got to understand that it's going to take time, but you also have to network and put yourself in rooms that you wouldn't necessarily. I mean, you got to get a little uncomfortable, and
Yep.
so definitely you giving your perspective and coming on was such a blessing, and we truly appreciate you.
Thank you, Brandon. This was great. It was awesome. And I agree. Let's absolutely, I'm not just going to follow you on social media, but let's really keep in touch. I want to hear every step of the journey. And I think you're right. We could just bounce a million ideas off each other.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. Well, make sure you guys are following us on IG where we post reels from the episodes. And if you can't watch us, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast at Flip That Switch. So whether you're watching us or listening to us, make sure you're tapping in with us. Also, If you do want to be on the Flip That Switch podcast, we'd love to have you on. If you think your story can resonate with people, make sure you hit me in the comments, and love to have you on and interview you. But Lucie, thank you again, and we appreciate you. And we are going to see you guys for the next episode, and we're out. Peace.
Thank you. Send my love to Destiny.
Oh, you know I will. I got you.